All right, welcome back to the Planet Paintball podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Head out and say hi to John and the boys. Tax season's coming up, so go and spend some of your money on some new gear with John at Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Anyways, I got a Carolina guy with me tonight. Some of you guys might have seen him around a bit. Kyle, newly on Infamous, right? Is this the first year? Yeah.
First year.
So
ever since Arsenal broke up. So, or I guess they're together still. So,
yeah,
but it's Tauntauns, right?
It's a weird merger, right?
Yeah.
And not to skip ahead too much because we want to get into the history, but how did that come about going to Infamous?
Yeah, so that was actually a cool, unique thing. Once the team, we got the notice saying, on Arsenal, hey, there was potentially a dynasty merger happening, and then stay tuned. There might be some stuff going on with Tauntauns and some others. Some of the guys, they left the team chat and they started looking for new homes. And then I was fortunate enough that, there was some discussions happening with Travis Lemansky and was offered an opportunity and, decided to take that with the Infamous team and help support, the brand and be a part of the team. So yeah, just kind of, a blessing in disguise just coming about. So really thankful for that opportunity.
And kind of trying to think who, Danny's new to the team. You aren't the only new guy.
Right. Yeah. So Danny Schoenauer coming off Dynasty and joining the team too. So, real fast, awesome, smart, snake guy coming on to Infamous as well. So we're both the two new guys coming on. And then the guy that left and went to Heat was Rob Velez. So I think we're sitting right at 9 or 10, guys on the team, on the roster, hungry and ready to get after it. So yeah, just hoping, both Danny and I can bring, our game and into the Infamous organization and help bolster it and make the team that much more lethal.
Well, let's get into the history, man. How did you find paintball? How did you find this thing that's obviously become obsession?
Yeah. So it's honestly, it's one of those things that, everyone can say, oh, it started at a birthday party, right? And honestly, it's kind of cliche. I started at a birthday party too, but what a lot of people probably don't know is, so I grew up in a military family, and I only lived in the United States the last 3 years of high school. So yeah, I was born in Iceland on a military base, and then we moved to Germany, and then shortly after moved to Puerto Rico, and then moved to Japan, and then moved back to Puerto Rico, and then the last 3 years of high school were in Virginia. And so when I was 10 years old, I was living in Misawa, Japan, and got invited to a birthday party out there to play paintball. And back then it was all just in the woods. So there was a couple individuals that it was like 5 people. And I think the kid's birthday was Ben Hudson, and there was Derek Neubauer. So he actually still plays out in Arizona. Reconnected with him on Instagram, and another guy named Josh. And then there was me. And so we all, showed up to the birthday, and we're playing in the woods. And there was like field 1, field 2, field 3. So field 1 and 2 were all just in the woods. And then field 3 was actually like a hyperball, kind of what you would see today. But it had like oil drums and things like that were metal. And so started off, 10 years old at that first birthday party. And every weekend after, I was there playing paintball in the woods. And then when we weren't playing, we were actually riding our bikes down to improve the field. Like the field owners, it's on a military base, so it's ran by, it's called MWR. So basically we'd go down there, go into the woods and try to, dig out trenches and improve the field the best we could so that, we were ready for Saturday and Sunday when we were balling in the woods. But yeah, I was hooked on it ever since. And back then, it was I think it was Tippmann Pro carbines is what it was, not the actual 98s, but the ones that like had the front.
Pro carbines.
Yeah, and it was the Pro carbines, right? And then CO2 was what we were using, and that's right when we were getting into, I think it was, what was the name of the magazine? Not PB2X, it was the other one, Action Town Sports.
Action Games.
Action Games, right?
Yeah, Action Games.
Yeah, it's way old, man, way old. This is back in like 97.
Yeah. Well, one of those,
yeah. Yeah, and some of them back there, like that's where we would order our paint.
Mm-hmm.
Zap paintballs and stuff, and then order equipment. And so we were taking, it was weeks just to get the actual shipments in of new gear and stuff to play. But thankfully, the field had like local paint and stuff. But we were out there as kids, 10-year-olds playing against all the military guys, and so that's just kind of what we did on the weekend. Yeah, and it was awesome. So did that for 3 years, living in Japan, and then moved to Puerto Rico. And in Puerto Rico, it's kind of interesting segue. This is where I met the Geigers. So not a lot of people know this, but like Zach and Brody and Troy, I've known them since I was a freshman in high school. And we grew up playing paintball in Puerto Rico. On the base with a lot of the like Navy SEALs and stuff. But then also off base, there was a field right outside the gate in Puerto Rico, and it was called Saba PR Dragon Teams was the field. And I don't think it still exists today, but there's a big Puerto Rican presence, down there that play at all the
Yeah.
national events, but they have pretty good fields. I haven't been back since, but I see all of the Puerto Rican teams really coming up and putting their presence known there in the NXL. But yeah, so I was playing there and doing like a 5-man team, was playing with the Geigers and stuff locally. And then I got picked up to go on a Puerto Rican team. And it's wild because, I don't speak Spanish at all. But sitting in there in like a Spanish class in high school and could kind of just get by. I could say like Izquierdo, Derecho, and then El Serpiente for snake. And so they put me in the snake, and I'm running around, playing 10-man with these guys. And I got invited to go to my first World Cup in like 2003 with them playing 10-man. We lost every single game, but it was still fun. It's about when you go there and you see it, you're just like reading it in the magazines is one thing, like growing up in Japan and then in Puerto Rico. And then when you go there and you're seeing Dynasty, and they're playing, Jack's Warriors, and you see the Russian Legion when they used to wear like the sweatsuits and stuff,
Yeah.
like cap drop forwards on their Angel LCDs going crazy. Like it's insane. But so then from that, the base, I was supposed to graduate high school there. And then the base started closing down. So we had to get relocated to Virginia. And then when I moved to Virginia, a new kid coming in to a high school, everyone's been playing sports their entire high school career. Everyone knows each other. So I didn't really know anybody. But there was a paintball field, fortunately, right down the street from my school. And that's where, Mr. Paintball or Bobby Weeks, if you've ever heard that name around,
Yeah.
first call paintball action town sports. So he had a number of paintball fields, warehouse. So I started working for him and then also playing with some of the local teams there. And that's when I really started getting into it, playing paintball at the national level and getting in and doing, Division 3 team, Southside Empire. We had a EXS crew.
Hmm.
And then, when it was time to look for college or go in the military myself, I applied for a couple different colleges, got in, was going to go to the Naval Academy, and try to like, go into special ops and do all that thing. But then so life changed, and I ended up going to East Carolina University, which was in Greenville, North Carolina. And the reason why I chose that is, I'm sitting there looking at life, and I'm like, great, man. What am I going to do? Was going to go to the Naval Academy, that didn't work out. But then I was playing on Manus Factory at the time, and the
Okay.
owner of Manus Factory, Jerry Campbell, he lives in Greenville, North Carolina, right down the street from East Carolina. And so
Hmm.
he was like, "Hey, man, there's this university called East Carolina University. You can apply." And so I applied late, got in, and that really set the tone for playing paintball almost every single day. He had a field out there. After class, I would drive to the field, and it would
Hmm.
just be me out there blowing bunkers up, shooting poles. He had a skid of paint inside of the garage. And anyone that went down and practiced Manus back in the day, you had Sin, Justice, a number of different teams. The hospitality there was awesome, but that really set the tone for drilling, just honing in skills. And then unfortunately, that team disbanded. I was still going to school at East Carolina. But fortunately, there was Gridlock. And so Gridlock was, out of Paintball Central. And it was only I'd say about a 2.5, 3 hour drive maybe from Greenville. And I was able to get picked up onto semi-pro Gridlock. And that's where Matt Saltzman and I, connected and started playing together. And then it's kind of the same story. That team disbanded. You saw the Gridlock trauma dispansion. But when that happened, Raiden came up online. And so we formed a team. Raiden back in the day was made up of like Sauceman. We had Eamon Chapman, Crazy Kyle Flores. He actually became I think he's a dentist now, or yeah, I think he's a dentist. And then Eamon
Yeah,
Chapman
I
back in
heard
the
that.
day. So yeah, he was. I don't know if Heyman Chapman, but back in the
Mhm.
day, absolutely nasty on Russian Legion and a number of other pro teams, Trauma. And then so Pete Couture was the owner of Raiden, and he actually asked. So Troy Geiger was the coach, and then you had Zach and Brody. And if you remember back in the day, there was a team called Fox Paintball,
Yeah.
and that's where they had like kind of Manus color looking jerseys,
Mhm.
but that was a 5-man team that Troy was coaching, and they won like all the, young guns and stuff. And so after that, that's when Raiden, made its presence known. And then Troy started coaching, and Zach and Brody came over. And then I played on Raiden for a number of years. We won a couple tournaments, a lot of, second, third places. There were some good battles with like teams back in the day, Cross-Eyed Paintball, Shockwave, those teams. Fierce back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, and then what, man? After Raiden, um, I think I took a break, and I went in the army.
Okay.
And when I went into the army, deployment, and did a number of deployments, down to Iraq, Afghanistan, did a number to other Middle Eastern countries, and played a little bit of paintball. I was living in Colorado at the time. That was my first duty station. So I played on
Okay.
Denver Fury,
Okay.
and that was Scotty Flynn's team back in the day, and practiced against like Colorado Blitz. So they're still on the circuit today too.
Yeah. Blitz won't go away.
And then
They always come back.
yeah, they're good, man. They're good. So I think CJ Chamber, he still runs that team, and he still lives in Colorado. But yeah, they're a good team, so I'm forced to be reckoned with. But then after Colorado, I moved to Fayetteville, Fort Bragg area, and went into Army Special Operations. And when I came back to the East Coast, that's when basically Energy Elite was standing up. And so Energy Elite stood up, and Alan Buffton had asked Troy Geiger to coach. And so we actually started as, a D3 team. And you had Zach, myself, and a number of others. And we started really, I would say, making a presence known in D3. And then we won, and then came up into D2, won there. And then we made the jump to semi pro. And I think the best we did in semi pro is we took second, a number of other, third places. And then Alan saw the opportunity to, transition or merge with Boom, and so that's where it really gave me the opportunity to play professional paintball after the military. There was some, when I was navigating my journey, I went through when I was in high school going to college, I'd gotten approached by, it's funny looking back on it now, but like Arsenal at the time when, they were shooting Angels and playing the 7-man, and I had gotten offered by Mikey Salas to come up and try out for Arsenal. And then fast forward to today, like I got to play on Arsenal, right? And so everything just kind of comes around. And what's funny about Infamous is like I actually went up to the practice that there was some Infamous guys back in the day. It was Callie, Gino, and a couple others. And it was when Chad George, Jason Edwards, and I think it was Drew Templeton or maybe someone else, but they were trying out for the Philly Americans. And so when I was
Okay.
playing on it, when I was playing on Manus, I got invited to go up and play on basically this, kind of hodgepodge team, but it was like Gino Benedicto, myself. It was, I think Callie was there, and a couple others of old DC Devastation. And so we were basically practicing against the tryout guys. And that's when Chad George made All Americans. And you had Sam Monville. I was there when he made All Americans. And Jason Edwards too. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, but fast forwarding today, getting the opportunity to be on Infamous, and then having played with, some of those Infamous guys at that tryout, it's kind of cool when you look back on it and seeing where your life as it progresses, and seeing little touch points. And then, oh man, you played on Arsenal. You got an offer 15 years ago to do that. And then, oh, now you're
Yeah.
playing on Infamous. So just interesting. But yeah, so in the journey in pro, I think this will be my 6th season playing pro. The longest stint was with Energy Elite, obviously, and then transitioned to go play for Revo. That's an interesting story too. Like I was done playing after Energy, and then when I had today, I told Mr. Buffton Allen, it's like, hey, I'm done playing. I don't want to play anymore. I started getting calls. I got, calls from Diesel, had calls from Revo, Ironman, and a couple others. And I was like, man, maybe I should actually try to do this some more. Like, and I said, told my wife, I was like, see if I enjoy it. Let's go on a different team and see what happens.
Uh-huh.
What's the worst? It's paintball. It's going to be fun. Right. And so my wife said, hey, yeah, that sounds great. And she blessed off on it. So, and I had her blessing on it. And I went into it with Revo, committed to Revo, which was interesting because like committed to Revo. And then we had Steven and Henry go to Ironman as soon as after I
Yeah.
committed to them. And I'm like, the heck's going on, man? But anyways, it was kind of cool because then Steven came back the next year and got to play with, Omara, which absolutely, phenomenal paintball player. Great to get that exposure with him and, friendship there. So then after doing a season, with Revo, then we transitioned to Arsenal because Tom, he owned the team and he
Yeah.
had the Arsenal name and he wanted to go back. So really cool, nostalgic move to bring that back. And then just like everything in my career, right, just seems everything falls apart. I'm hoping that's not the case with Infamous, right? But then Arsenal, we disbanded or rebranded, but only one or two of us still remains on the team with
Yeah.
Tauntaun Arsenal merger. So I then found myself, being able to have an opportunity with Infamous and jump there. So yeah, kind of crazy career. I think one of the fibers that's always put me in situations to keep playing is just never saying no and just trying to find the opportunities and keep playing, right? Like the only stint I really had of not playing was when I went in the military and was on deployments and stuff. But just because you're not playing doesn't mean you don't have a love for the game. You're always
Yeah.
watching film. You're always connected to it. So yeah, well, that was long winded, man.
That was good. So, just a couple touch points. So, Mantis Factory, you're the first guy I've
Yeah.
had on from Mantis.
Wow.
So, and to me, they were one of, like, the big teams in the Carolinas for a long time, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
were you on it while they were bashing heads with XSF?
I came on the tail end with
Okay.
XSF and played primarily a lot more of the late NPBLs in like
Okay.
2006 and 7, 5, 6, and 7, I think those last 3 seasons. And then
Gotcha.
when the NPPL disbanded, we played a season in PSP.
Hmm.
Um, but we weren't great, everyone was 7-man players, and so
Yeah.
they weren't really conditioned for Expo.
So, looking back at it, which one did you prefer? Did you prefer the 7-man or the X ball format?
Yeah, so I mean, my playing style has always been really fast, and I prefer the X ball, right? I like going out there and live, die, repeat type thing. So if you can go out and play a minute and a half point, and you go super aggressive, try to get a couple kills, and then do it again, like that's what I preferred. But what I think is interesting is, the long 7-man game brings a different aspect to it, to where in real life, I'm a very fast paced person, and it, instills a little bit more patience. And then working collaboratively, with the team, more people on the field, more bunkers you have to call, more you have to digest. But my preference is the X ball side. What I think is interesting today, though, is like, I think X ball back in the day, I don't think we were as focused as on the communication, the zone
Hmm.
control, the bounce shots, right? And it's evolved so much to where even though it's fast paced, you still have that patient mindset because of how the game has progressed and what
Yeah.
comms you're trying to get across. And so I think a lot of the great players, having played those patient 7-man and 10-man games, you really see them flourish. Now you look at Marcelo Margot, one of the best in the world doing it. Like he played 7-man, came up in the X ball as a young kid and stuff, but excellent communicator, has great vision. I mean, you see that. You see a lot. I mean, Ryan Greenspan, phenomenal. These guys are legends.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. The other night, I think I was watching a match from '08 Phoenix. Yeah, PSP. And, the whole thing with going down to 5 pods, I realized like guys weren't playing with a case on their pack back then. Like they were running,
Right.
5 to maybe 8 pods was kind of the standard. And you saw some cats out there with 3 pods
Right. Yeah.
in
And they were
X
moving
ball.
and just going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were just going fast. The Russian, that's a prime example, right? They weren't carrying a lot of paint back in the day. They
No.
were running and gunning everywhere and, going crazy fast.
Yeah.
But I think today, like the gun skills, the guns are better. The gun
Hmm.
skills are, people are out there practicing. I mean, I go and drill 2 or 3 times a week just shooting a pole. blowing up a bunker. I got an Aztec and a Dorito. I blow it up outside of work and I shoot a pole and I run and gun and are all, pull up and just do the fundamentals.
Hmm.
You can see Russians, they're doing it. Young kids out here and they're posting on Instagram and doing it. They're all
Yeah.
doing it. So like before we were just buying our case of paint on Saturday and Sunday and, trying to get some games in, but we weren't like dedicated doing these drills that I think really sets the bar from, you know, players back in the day to today.
So what is yeah, the players are definitely better. There's a little bit more there's way more bunkers on the field, right? So there's not these
There are,
wide
yeah.
lanes. And I can give into the argument that the player's better now, so the lanes can't be as
Hmm.
wide, right? Uh,
Sure. Yeah.
but what do you think about the new limit they've placed on you guys in pro?
So I think the 5 pod rule, I think it's going to be challenging because, like, people are still hesitant to make moves with more paint on their back. But, like, making a move and then how long do you hold a lane for? How long am I going to sit in this zone? Do I take, a bigger bite? Do I, not roll my gun just to a zone, anticipating someone to go through it? Like, I think that's going to take some getting used to for some of the players. I've always played with typically 6 pods on my back. So I don't think like for myself that's going to be as much of an issue. But like, guys that have tanks on their back and they're just
Hmm.
dumping paint everywhere, like it's gonna require more communication instead of just constantly rolling your gun. So it might slow the game down, to be honest.
All
Because
right.
like there's more pain in the air, everyone's just shooting blind spot zones, bounce shots.
Hmm.
People get nicked randomly just from just
Yeah.
dumping paint everywhere. Right. So it might actually backfire and slow the game down.
Hmm. Well, and that's over the last year, like I've really been trying to dissect what I enjoy about the game. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I don't like about the new bunker kits having so much is that you are shooting these blind shots and you have to,
Hmm.
and you might be getting kills out of it, but like, I want to see my shot, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that makes if I'm shooting the blind shot, I'm really counting on luck or,
Hmm.
really good communication from a teammate.
Right.
So,
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is when you're going to practice, we'll spend half days on blind shots. We'll
mhm,
spend bounce shots. Like you're dialing all those in and like, it's a result of having so many bunkers on the field. So maybe instead of more pods, we take bunkers out or
yeah,
less pods, take bunkers out. Because if like you were watching a PSP Phoenix, 06, 07, people are running and gunning everywhere and there's not a lot of bunkers out there, right? Like
yeah. No,
they have
there's not.
hands that are
There's like
hands
almost
on their
half.
side, they have an X, like yeah, right? And 15 balls per second. Like people are, having machine guns out there. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, and at 15, you can like legitimately run behind your gun and keep
Right.
someone in, right? Like no one's coming
Right.
out into that. Um,
Right.
so that's a different aspect of the game. I know a lot of people have said, they felt like they shot less at 15 than they do at 10. Um,
Okay.
I think
Interesting.
that's hard to say. It's just the speed limit, right? Like because we've added so
Right.
many
Right.
bunkers and stuff too. Um,
Right.
so
And, maybe back in like, I don't remember there being so much support from like you see all these organizations popping up and there's a lot of young kids that have a ton of opportunity. Like they just got to go to these camps and like, they're shooting skids a weekend. They're
yeah.
they're out there drilling all the time, right? Like that's a resource that today kids have. I didn't see that back when I was growing up, it was like you're washing dishes and mowing grass to buy
Hmm.
cases of paint. And then if you're fortunate to have a team owner that can buy a skid of paint for practice, like, that's a blessing. You're like, this is amazing. We have a skid to practice
Yeah.
with. Like, but that was a lot of paint back in the day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a ton of paint back in the day, and, you always heard, like, little rumors of, like, "Oh, this team is getting their paint paid for," but it was way less than what you see kids shooting
Right.
now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you go around to some of these fields like Legacy Sports down in Tampa, like their facilities are amazing. And some of those divisional teams, some of those are like their own field there, and they're running it. They're having practice every single weekend. Like they're shooting skids of paint, and some of these kids or teams have parents that are able to bless them to have these resources.
Yeah.
So they're out there grinding and just getting better because it's unlimited resources to go out there and drill with and work on stuff as a team. So yeah, I wish I had that back in the day.
Yeah. Well, and paint's cheaper now. I know people don't feel like it,
That's
but
true.
paint is
That's true.
cheaper.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, paint is cheaper.
Um, you know, no
You
one.
think the paint's better quality? You think the paint's better quality now than it used to be? Like,
I
I
don't.
remember the
I don't.
cornstarch evil, the white
Yeah.
ball that was like, the best paint in the world.
Yeah.
And then the Draxus suitcase green ball with the
Mm-hmm.
deep orange fill. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever like the paint back in the day was just something else.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was smaller batches. I can't imagine the volume has changed dramatically from like '07, right? Because like paintball
Okay.
was really
Yeah.
booming in '07. I feel like
Sure.
'07 paint was way better than the paint we get now. It was just
Right.
more round. Like I could get seconds and like there would be one bad ball, you
Right.
know?
Right. Or Smurf ball or something. And,
Yeah.
it was still decent paint.
Yeah, it was still really good paint. Now it's just and I think it's across the board. I don't think it's one company over the other. Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
someone
right
wants
now,
to
what you've
prove me
got,
wrong, ship me a case.
there you go. Yeah. You'll test it out.
Yeah, I'll test it out for you.
Yeah.
Be
Cause
ready
right.
for
I
the
think
hard
now
truth.
hard truth, because we have like, I think there's obviously ProShar. You've got the GI's Defy, and then HK's out there. Those are the four main brands that
Yeah,
are, just traditionally, out at all the events and stuff. But, back in the day, we had what Chronic, Evil, Draxis,
yeah.
all kinds of
PMI
stuff.
was
So
its own thing.
PMI, Anarchy,
Anarchy was good paint.
yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah, with their
So
chronic brand too.
yeah, yeah,
That was all
exactly.
Nelson, I think.
Nelson Paint.
Or
Yep,
maybe it was Zap.
absolutely.
It was Zap. You're right. I forgot
Zap,
Zap and Nelson
Nelson,
were separate.
was Anarchy, is
Yeah,
what I recall. Yeah.
Nelson was Anarchy. Chronic was Zap.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you had China Ball too, you know.
China Ball. Yeah.
So
Exactly. So
and
all
I
kinds
don't
of
you've been around long enough. You probably remember Monster Ball
Monster Ball. Yeah, I remember
and
that
how
too.
hard that stuff was.
Wild, wild, man. Yeah. Some of that was great because back in the day we didn't have eyes, so it was like the
Yeah,
harder the ball, the better because it's not breaking out of the gun.
yeah, yeah. You got to get out the gun for it to shoot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your
Exactly.
favorite like old school marker, man? Like obviously you're sponsored by Planet Eclipse and have been for a
Yeah. Oh
while.
man.
But what's your favorite old
Exactly.
school one?
Old school marker, man. Okay, so I probably can't say like my Shock Tech Timmy. That's not old school enough. But what I think is probably old school enough is my Bushwhacker. It was a oh man, do you remember that? Yeah,
Yeah,
BTK Indian Designs. I think that's what it was. It was
right
an
there.
electric. There you go. Look at that, man. You got one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
There you
like my
go.
first high end.
Oh my gosh.
It was an auto
Yeah,
cocker
that's
and then to
cool.
that right away.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was my first, like, electronic gun, and it was, speedy fast, so pretty cool, and I had an egg back in the day after the Rev 12
Yeah,
that I had to put on it, so, yeah, the egg, I remember when the eggs came out, but, and one of the guns, it was Angel LCD silver, and I only got it because Ollie Lang had one, but, yeah, that was a good gun too, and they put that big cap cradle on the front, so everyone
yeah.
used to shoot like that, 'cause we couldn't snap shoot like that, right? So,
No,
we had to, like, unbreak ourselves from years of doing that.
it's
Just
what
the
you had to
ergonomics of
do.
everything, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. It's crazy where the guns have really evolved today. It just blows my mind.
Oh yeah. Every
The
time I don't think
shockers.
they can get better. Like it's just like they make it better somehow, you know, whether it's
Right.
better on
Yeah.
paint or, you know, can shoot a ton on a little old tank. I don't know why I'm still hauling around at 88, but I am.
Well, now you only need 5 pods, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it's just I guess it's just a feeling then for you, whatever feels most comfortable, you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, that's why I went to the 88 is I wanted the farther reach, right?
Right.
And I didn't like the, what's the thing the Damage guys made popular? Like the little extender caps, I didn't like the feel of that for some reason.
Okay.
So
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting.
so with the reduction on, you know, paint, are you changing any of your gear setup?
So the only thing I was thinking about this actually is, like, probably, maybe going to a strap pod instead of strapless,
Okay.
just because, for 5 pods out there, you don't wanna, dive into something and dump 3 of them,
Yeah.
just diving in, and then you only have 2. So, you'll probably see a lot more, people out there wearing packs with straps on them. Is what I would, hypothesize, just so that, you retain your ammo on your back the best you
Yeah.
can. So there you go, man. The market is surging now. People are gonna start buying, straps with their packs.
Well, I'm waiting for someone to come out with like the 3 center strapped and then the 2
Yeah,
outside still strapless, right? So you can have that quick off the brake pull, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
everything else is secure.
It's like an old Reds pack or 32 degrees. They used to have 3 with 2 in there. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, man. Or maybe they'll go instead of, vertical, they'll go horizontal like back in
Yeah,
the day.
yeah. Like,
Start pulling them out.
did you ever have one of the unique packs that had that on it?
I had so when I lived in Japan, it was like a no brand one, but it was like the horizontal side one. So,
Okay.
but,
Yeah.
it was like hand me down,
Nice.
wearing BDUs, running through the woods, just trying
Mhm.
to pretend I'm like some Navy SEAL or something.
So when's the first time when you started playing like Hyperball was tournament paintball
Right.
essentially, right?
Yep.
But when's the first time you saw like an airball field?
So it's in Puerto Rico at the Saba field. They had a piranha field, so it actually had the fish blown up, and then
Nice.
the snake was a snake, and so we played on that. And the first time we blew it up, it was pretty cool. They didn't want to blow it up at their local field, so in Puerto Rico they had like in each little town there's baseball fields, and so they actually got approval to blow it up on the baseball field and us have a practice out there. So it was like
That's
nice
awesome.
grass in the outfield. Yeah, so pretty cool setup. But it was one of those the piranha fields back in the day. Yeah, that was the first blow up field, which was interesting. Yeah, and the first big tournament was that World Cup one in 2003 that everyone's speaking Spanish and I'm only understanding little things.
So
But it
did
was a good
mom and dad
experience.
go with you to that one or did they just let you rock with all the
Yeah.
Spanish guys?
No, actually, funny story. Yeah. So, my mom, she actually flew with me and my grandma came to watch and she actually cooked for, everybody on the team because she was living in Florida at the time. And then my uncles and stuff came down to watch. And it was the first time like seeing a paintball tournament and they wore like white to the field. And so they're standing on the net and just getting sprayed everywhere. So good experience. But yeah, so my mom came to that one. And then, throughout, like middle school and high school when I started traveling more when we moved back to the East Coast in the United States. And once she met the team and whatnot, and she was like, okay, yeah, they're good, right? They're not going to just take me and do something.
uh,
Then she just started letting me go with them on practice weekends and stuff. And then I, got the opportunity to be able to drive and get a car. So then I could just start driving everywhere to practice and burning gas and then trying to make money to play paintball and all that stuff.
it was only like a buck 50 back then, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah. So
so
back in the
cheap.
day, everybody, well, so back in the day, and I don't know if teams still do this. I'm assuming everyone has team dues, and then we paid a fair share going to the paintball event. So it would be like $150 every month for your team dues, and then when you go to the event, everyone would split it. So it'd be like $300-400 in addition, and then you paid for your own travel, your own hotel. A lot of times back then it was 5, 6 guys piling into a 2 bedroom and sleeping on the floor and, just trying to make it work. So I don't know if teams are still doing that.
Teams are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, but that I mean, honestly, like that's where the best friendships are made too, right? Like growing and doing that together and in the growth and stuff. So yeah, it's I mean, those are the memories that you look back on. You're like, man, that was good times, right? So yeah, Old Town when it was like OG Old Town.
Yeah, yeah. So what's been your favorite like event?
Oh, man, favorite event. That's hard to, winning events divisionally was awesome. Winning World Cup when I was on Energy, that was great. We took fourth place at the Texas event when I was in Energy. And that was that weird field that was, all turned
Yeah.
around. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's not one event that sticks out. I kinda look at it as each event, is its own little thing, and there's goodness to take from each one, whether you win, lose, each point you're playing, each match, like, kinda live in that moment and just enjoy the time you're there. When I had a lot more time to play paintball, during college, and, I was thinking about this today, it's like, there was a point where I was playing so much paintball that the game slowed down, and I could process it with all of the chaos going on faster. And it was almost like, people say you reach that like flow state. And it was a result of doing so many reps and being in so many scenarios. And, you know, today with family, work, traveling all the time for a real job and then, making time to still drill during the week, work out, and then, play paintball because you have a passion for it and you love it. It's hard to get to that flow state. So like at each of these events, I think that's what I'm striving for to be in that scenario to see the calm and all the chaos again. And that was back on Raiden. Way back in the day is when that was taking place. So it's hard to say, what my favorite event is. I enjoy them all, to be honest, man. To all these events, and you go to the field and early in the morning, and you can smell that fresh paint that's broke and sat there all night. I don't know. That's what keeps me going back, man.
It's a unique smell, I feel like.
It is. It is a unique smell. Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's something about each event. You can coming through divisional up through pro, wins, losses, there's just something you can take away from each one. So just thankful to get the opportunity to play, man, and be healthy and continue to play. I'm 38 right now. Body hurts, but my mind and my passion for it still wants to get out there.
So I mean, you've played paintball more in your life now than anything else, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
you've been playing paintball more than you have not been playing paintball. What
That's true.
what keeps you coming back?
Man, what keeps you coming to back? It's this it's like, it's a part of you. Like, I can't see myself not playing, right? And whether that's going to play in the woods or not playing the NXL, but just going to the field and shooting a gun, it's like it's an identity thing, right? And it's hard to when people change careers and they're like, "Oh, I was doing engineering before and now I'm getting into sales." Like, they still have a connection to the engineering piece, right? And so like if I was to transition to do like competitive CrossFit or something, it wouldn't be the same because literally I've played paintball for 28 years of my life, right?
Mhm.
Like it's a part of you. In anyone I talk to, that's my family, they know I play paintball, right? So they always ask, they'll watch the webcast and it's a part of your lifestyle. It really is. It just keeps me coming back because it
Did you not do competitive CrossFit for a while, or did you just do CrossFit?
I just do, regular CrossFit
Okay.
classes and then I'll compete like locally in our gym little things.
Okay.
No, like I'm 38, man, doing thrusters and heavy barbells right now. Oh my gosh, crushes the knees. But I like to think I'm still 20 in my brain and, trying to keep up with all the 20-year-olds out there. But
Mhm.
I know my place.
So still doing CrossFit though for like staying in shape and all that?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to get into CrossFit every single day, and thankfully where I work, they opened a CrossFit gym too. So like
Okay.
I can go in there and work out whenever or drop into the classes. And, typically I'm going every single day trying to push, whether it's aerobic, anaerobic, and doing weights, kettlebells. We're doing GHD sit-ups, jump roping, double unders, rope climbs, all just constantly varied movement. But that's the way I like to stay in shape. I don't want to get out there and run forever.
Yeah.
I did that in the Army, and that got boring.
Running sucks.
Yeah, 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 it does. Unless you're running and gunning and you're shooting people on the
Yeah.
break, like, that's fun, right?
Then it's fun.
Yeah.
Those are
That's my
relatively
favorite
short
thing to
runs,
do.
though.
Oh, man, that's my favorite thing to do. Like, as people on teams, whenever they get to know me and, I'm like, "Hey, where are you going off the break?" I'm like, "I'm going to the corner," and I'm always like, "I'm gonna run a gun," "I'm gonna shoot back at the shooters, and I'm gonna shoot them." Like, I love to run a gun.
Nice.
I feel like if you have your gun up and you're running and you got more paint in the air, you're more chances of hitting someone.
Hmm.
They're gonna shoot back at me, I wanna shoot back at them.
So where's the when you aren't traveling for practice? Where's the local practice you're going to these days?
Yeah, so, on Infamous, I think, we're setting up a first practice up in Chicago at Blast Camp, and so that'll be, I wanna say, maybe 2nd or 3rd weekend in February, and then the event practice will be down in Tampa area, and then we'll go into the event, and so, what I've noticed a lot of times on the professional teams, whether it was, Arsenal, Revo, or Infamous, it's, you're when your team rack and stat come out, your draw, then you're planning your practices around that draw, right? And so trying to get close to the events and, limit logistics and stuff. Yeah, really you're traveling to various different fields and you practice in teams that aren't in your draw.
So you've traveled a lot. Is there a field
Yeah.
that like really wowed you?
Field that really wowed me. I'll say what is a phenomenal field. Last year for World Cup, we practiced down at Legacy, and Legacy, man, Legacy Sports, their turf field, they've turfed out two of their fields now, and they all, always have the grass fields and stuff, but that is top notch. They have, spectators viewing area for coaches. They even have a place where you can go and shower. But yeah, they've really, Jason Edwards and them, they've really turned that place around and made it for the player. So it's a great location. I love that place. Practicing against damage is, a phenomenal practice. So yeah, that place really stands out. Another one's X Factor. X Factor Paintball Park is great. The turf out there, they're redoing some of their turf fields, but not only is it a great practice, but the location's good, airport proximity and stuff. So there's a hotel right in the area. So, thinking logistics wise, you got all these people flying into, you're trying to, feed them, house them, and then get them to the field. And then if someone wants Starbucks, they want their, macchiato, whatever, you got to get them that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some bougie people out there, man.
Everyone needs to
You
go to
know?
just black,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
plain
I
black
do,
coffee.
and I'm gonna get in my bougie coffiness, but I love a pour over. You ever done the pour over?
I have not.
Yeah, man. Oh man, yeah. You gotta buy the bean, right? And
Uh-huh.
then you set the grind, certain grind, if it's Ethiopian or whatever the bean is, and then you weigh it to the ratio of water. And then there's these different funnels with the filters, and you then put them into the funnel and you filter it, and it's all based on timing so that you can let the coffee breathe. But then you serve it black. And it's kind of like wine. If you let it cool down a little bit, you can actually taste like that, on the box or something, the package, it said cherries or it's going to have, notes of citrus. It's kind of like a
Uh,
wine, but and you don't need many of them, man. It's not like, drinking pots of Joe and just slamming them back. You can actually, enjoy it. It's like a
huh.
delicacy.
When
So,
did you get into like that's a pretty in-depth thing. When did you get into that?
oh my gosh, yeah, it was my brother-in-law. He was like,
Okay.
"Man, you gotta stop drinking coffee and putting, like, all the creamers and stuff in it. You need to actually, like, do a pour over." So then he introduced me to drinking a pour over he made, and then I can't go back. Like, I can't put anything in coffee now. If I go to Starbucks, I'll get a nitro cold brew, and yeah, that's the thing at Starbucks. But my wife still likes Starbucks and doing it in the pot here, and every time she, like, starts and I'm like, "Just do a pour over, let me make it for you," but she wants to put, like, oat milk or goat milk or I don't know, like, all kinds of stuff in there. There's, like, 15 different milks in the fridge, so,
Who knew there were
yeah.
so
What do
many
you like?
milks? I
Oh my
just
gosh, yeah.
I just do straight coffee, like just black
Just straight coffee,
coffee.
but do you have, like, a
Yeah.
a brand you like?
No. So for a long time, like I'm the only one who really drinks coffee in the house. So
Okay. Alright.
it was either work coffee or my coffee, and like I'd go
Okay.
out and get like little K cups here and there. But the wife just got me a real coffee machine, so now
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah.
out and like getting all the grinds and getting beans and grinding them at the Costco. So,
There you
you
go.
know,
Yeah. See, you're
trying
on
to
your
get
way,
into
man.
it. Yeah, I guess I'm on my journey. I'm probably a year out
You're on your
from
journey.
doing a pour over here.
There you
So,
go. Oh, that's great. I'll even travel with a personal grinder
oh
sometime and,
yeah,
make
that's awesome.
coffee. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any kids?
I got two kids, 21-year-old daughter and
Okay.
a 11-year-old son.
Oh, nice. Okay. Does your son play paintball?
He started too. We did the gel blaster thing for his birthday.
Okay. Nice.
Callie down here at PBC let us just kind of run around and let me ref the group, if you will. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
we
Gotcha.
went all over from the woods to the mounds to the hyperball and did it all.
Right.
He's grown up, just and I know you have a daughter, right?
Yeah. I've got one daughter, 10 years old. Yeah, she doesn't play paintball. No, but she watches it.
So
And then I have a niece that's 7 years old,
okay,
and she also watches it. So
nice,
yeah,
yeah.
they
So
grew up together.
yeah, much like your daughter and niece, like he's just he's always been there, at
Right.
the
Right. Yeah.
he's had to come out to practices and hang out, and he knows how to fill pods and learned his
There you
way
go.
around a
Yeah.
pit for an X-ball match. So, um, we're getting there. I don't want to push too soon, right?
I gotcha.
You
Yeah.
know,
No, that's fair. That's fair.
some kids can jump in at 10 and like go full throttle. But I think the
Right.
worst thing you can do as a paintball parent is like push too hard too soon for it.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's respectful.
So I think the gel blasters are probably the best thing that's been done for paintball without
Hmm.
realizing it was done for paintball.
Gotcha.
Just
Okay.
because it's, we got old bunkers from the field I used to manage in the backyard, and he'll go and blow those up and run around with his friends and do gel blasters.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way easier to clean up than paintballs in the backyard. That's for
Oh yeah.
sure.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty fun stuff. I've messed around with the gel blasters a little bit
Hmm.
too. Low impact, but yeah, kind of entry level in, you know.
Yeah. I just feel like that's the way in, and then I actually suggest to people like do that, then just move right past the low impact stuff. Like
Okay.
and get a good, but go to a field that's going to have a good ball for a rental,
Right.
you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's fair.
because I think if you got a decent, a decent mid-grade ball, you aren't going to have rocks bouncing off you
Right.
and having it a miserable time, right? Like if you got
Right.
a good
Yeah, that's
ball
a good
that's going to
point.
break, like I don't feel like the 50 cal. And I've seen really good 50 cal paint and I've seen really bad 50 cal paint that hurts more than the standard, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
we used to have those JT pump guns, and my daughter was out at the field with me, and she's like, "I want to shoot you with it." It's like, okay, that's fair.
Okay.
You're stuck out here with me today. You can shoot me with it. That thing hurt more than the normal paintball gun. It was like having a
I
rock
gotcha.
shot out of a Nerf gun, man. Like it was
Yeah.
nuts.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So, it, y- how did the NRG thing come about?
Like getting on
Yeah,
energy.
getting on.
Yeah. So, I was living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and was, still in the military. I was doing a kind of like an augmentation down to Tampa, and I got a call from Troy Geiger saying, "Hey, we're starting this divisional team. It's going to be called Energy." The team owner is Alan Buffton. Kind of explained kind of like the inner workings there, and CSP was putting on. This was up a field in Virginia, the CSP. If you're familiar with that, really awesome field. So Bobby Weeks made this field, CSP in Chesapeake, Virginia, and it wasn't there when I was growing up, but when I got an energy, there was this CSP park, and it's literally 5 minutes from my parents' house where I grew up the last 3 years of high school there.
Okay.
So awesome way to, connect, drive up, spend time with the family, practice with energy. When I was down in Tampa, I got this call from Troy. And I was going out to practice with some of the damaged semi-pro teams. This is when like Silos Cortez and all those guys were down on a damaged semi-pro, and they were shooting, I think it was the Mac Dev guns back in the day.
Yeah.
And when I got the call, they said, "Hey, we're going to be playing in this local tournament. We'll fly you up and you can play in it. And then we're going to be starting this team, see how things work out." And so came up, played in it. I think we might have won it. And then from that, we Alan started Energy, and we started competing in Division 3, Division 2, and then into semi-pro. So yeah, just kind of that connection back to Troy Geiger, being a coach back in the day on Raiden, and then having that connection growing up as a kid, living on the military bases, and they had known I'd played for Gridlock, Manus, Raiden, and all these other teams, and so they reached out, knew I was in the area, and didn't have any plans. So just a fortunate kind of thing that I fell into, and that allowed me to play pro. So, I'll always be grateful for Alan for, providing me the opportunity to play pro with Energy Elite, which was always my goal to play professional paintball, growing up as a little kid.
Kind of going backwards, I guess, now.
No, yeah, yeah.
So you were on Gridlock playing the semi-pro division. Everyone knows Gridlock fed Trauma. So I know
Right.
Raiden happened pretty quickly, but how, like when Trauma went away and Gridlock went with it, like
hmm
what was the mindset at that point?
Yeah, it was an interesting time, right? So it was like a vacuum in the Carolinas because at that time too, I think the CFOA was having some issues too,
Yeah, I was struggling.
right? Struggling, and because the CFOA back in the day used to be, as big as some PSPs or NXLs, right?
Yeah.
So the 5-man, it was insane. But there was a vacuum of there was no teams, and then there was a team popping up, Cross-Eyed Paintball, which was out of I think it was Tennessee at the time.
Yeah.
And then with all of the local talent on Gridlock, some people went away, some people went to play on pro teams. And then Pete Couture on Raiden had a divisional team, and he wanted to bring in and really make a push as a more competitive divisional team. And so that's when he formed everything and then asked Troy to coach the team. And we were practicing, and we would practice each other. We practiced cross-eyed, and there were some other teams we would practice. We never, obviously couldn't practice Trauma, and then they were, defunct at that time. But yeah, it was. I mean, we had a really good crew, and we were getting, better and had more momentum, as the seasons progressed. So, just one of those things where I don't know exactly what happened. I don't recall, but the Couture ended up, folding the team, and I think had a little 5-man team or something after that. But yeah, it just kind of dried up or pivoted in other directions.
And you still play with Gridlock every CFOA 10 man? I know you were there
So
last.
the Woods Ball, which is an awesome event, right? It's like it's nostalgic. You got the PVC mounds, and then you got the woods, and then you have the hyperball. And this year they threw in an actual like airball
Yeah.
on the turf, which was an interesting piece to it. They didn't have the actual woods
Yeah,
piece at the event. They said
hyper.
people were getting injured. They
I
had the
think it's because
hyperball,
it
but they didn't
slowed
have
it
the
down.
woods.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah, all the stalemates. Um, but no, like Gridlock had asked me to play a couple of years in a row, and I had already committed to different teams.
Hmm.
But then this year, I was like, I really want to play with Gridlock. So then I was able to play with them this year. And we didn't do as great, but still fun. Still getting out there and playing with legends in the game like Stephen Porterfield. I mean,
Hmm.
these dudes on Gridlock played on Trauma. And it's like you look up to these guys as kids, and now you're playing there, shooting with them, and communicating. You're like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's got to
So,
be like a
you know,
surreal moment for sure.
I mean, yeah, it's surreal because like, I just love to play paintball, right? It's now I've been playing professional paintball for, going on 6 seasons. And it's like every time I still play Dynasty, it's like, oh my gosh, we're playing Dynasty. Or like we're playing Impact. Like, you look up to these guys as your idols, and now you're like, hey man, I can hang. Like I can bang with you guys. Like, all right, I'm gonna, then you beat Dynasty, and you're like, heck yeah, like that is a huge accomplishment. And
Yeah.
there's teams that um when they beat some of these major teams, like Leverage, when they beat Dynasty, it was at World Cup, I think. I think they beat them at
Yeah.
World Cup. Yeah, like I mean, I'll reach out and congratulate some of the dudes because it's like, man, that is a feat. It doesn't matter how you did the rest of the tournament. Like you guys beat Dynasty. Like if you beat Dynasty, you can win the tournament.
Yeah.
It just, and that just goes to show you, it's like if you show up on that day and you're playing the best team in the world, like if you're connecting as a unit, you can beat anybody, right? Yeah, you got to have codes, or you got to have, calls and stuff fall your way with penalties sometimes, but like the margin of error is very slim out there, and it can go either way, right? And so if everyone's connected, you have a calm, cool pit, emotions are controlled, everyone's on the same page, like, I mean, you can beat anybody. You can win an event. Honestly, a lot of times why people don't, and I had never won an event in pro, like we've come close with fourth and fifths and stuff like that. But it's like, it just boils down to your control and your emotion, right? As a unit, I can be the most controlled person in the pit and giving, words of affirmation and trying to boast people up. But like if someone comes in and they have a bad point or, they feel like they shouldn't have got a call and they explode or something happens, that can start teetering off the entire morale of the unit in that point. And you don't have a lot of time, right? You got 15 minutes and you have to make sure everybody is, a controlled mind before the point and after the point.
Yeah, that's really good advice. People need to rewind
I
that and
mean,
listen to that.
yeah, and it's hard even for pro teams. Like,
Yeah.
go back and you don't just watch the on the field, watch the in the pit. I like to do that. Like, I'll watch, I mean, I used to try to watch a video every single night, right?
Hmm.
Not on myself, but on other teams so I can learn their individual habits and their skills. And everyone says, "Oh, watch film." But don't just watch film on the field, watch it in the pit and then see how they're communicating with each other. Um, and one thing I love about like Kyle Spica when he was on the team with me last year, Spica's mindset, it's like he wants to use like psychological operations and things to get in people's head on the field that then when they go in the pit, like, they're all discombobulated and thinking. And it's like, it's a different mindset of thinking on the field to have off the field effects,
Yeah.
you know? You
Well,
can't just be thinking about the game all the time. It's the game
yeah.
is on and off the field and in the pit, right? It's 15 minutes of play time, but if you're in their head while the other team is playing and they're still thinking about that last point, well, you've won,
Yeah, you've
right?
already won the next point then.
You've
So,
won the next point.
I mean, not to pick on Spica, but I think that was the problem with Diesel was people could get in those dudes' heads and it would spiral out of control with them. At least from the outside, watching stuff that would happen on the field, see him go back in the pit all fired up and talking about what just
Yeah.
happened instead of what's going next, right?
Right. Yeah. And that happens whether Diesel or whoever, you watch on video, they always pan in and they're like, you can see people come in throwing guns or they're
Yeah.
pissed off, right? That emotion, if it's not controlled, I mean, look at the Russians. Look how controlled they are and
Yeah.
smooth, right?
It's very,
Yeah.
it's almost like they get
And you,
off, they report in, get their shit together
right.
and move on, right?
Right. Yeah. And you can, and there's a difference of like, you want some emotion, right? But it's like, what would you call it? It would be not proactive, but like emotion that's conducive to, setting you in a position to
Productive.
be successful for the next point. Productive. There you go. There you go, man. Yeah. It's productive emotion. So, and every team can practice that. And that's something, like I said in the beginning, like in my personal life, I move fast in everything, right? I'm in business development professionally. So like I'm always trying to, get to a customer, showcase the product. This is what we can do. All right, hey, here's the proposal. Let's work this. All right, here's the numbers. All right, let's move and groove. All right, execute. Right. And then, but sometimes you really have to look at the emotion behind all that, take a breath, and then go in there with a clear mind because your emotion is contagious.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you come in MFing people and making a scene,
Right.
like that's going to throw,
Yeah.
not only are you thrown off, right? Because they've gotten under your
Right.
skin, but you're going to throw off a teammate.
Yeah,
And it's,
I mean, think about how you communicate towards others, right? Like, you don't want to be mother f this or that. You want, good constructive criticism, words of affirmation, right? And hey, if you did something wrong, it's like, hey man, what were you thinking? How were you thinking when you made that decision? And then they can look at it from your point of view. That's one thing like I love about like Cody Mikowski. You know, he helped me, and still, Cody and I are great friends. And if you are doing something wrong on a field, and he would come over and say, why'd you make that decision? What were you thinking? And if I'm wrong, it's still his approach, right? And it's
uh-huh.
him helping me learn what he was thinking and what he was doing. And that helped me grow exponentially on that, last World Cup on Revo and then into Arsenal playing with Cody. Cause like that's his mindset of like, he wants to understand, what you're thinking. And if you make a decision, hey, why'd you make that decision? Okay, you should have done this. And that helped me slow my game down the last couple of events because historically I'm a fast paced player, you know?
Yeah.
So you just put that in your toolkit and now you have that to bring out there, for that point. So yeah, it's little nuggets from everybody that you can get something.
What do you think was one of your biggest aha moments that like really transformed your game?
I would say it was the um it was the field in Ohio that it was the really low scoring point field, this past season,
Yeah.
and, I was given a job of, "Hey, go out here." I'm the only guy on an island
Mhm.
on the Dorito side. There was that Aztec. You had to get through basically a lane, dive in there, come up inside, cross, or you could try to battle your mirror to get out wide, and they were very low scoring matches. So, like, the aha moment I had is, like, you don't always have to be doing something by trying to find a kill, right? It's just being alive and communicating and holding a zone, and then, using your other guys on the field to either progress or you're gonna go defensive, but being on the same page. And so some of the fields this season, the aha moment for me was like, slowing it down, the pace of the game to then allow my mind to catch up to the game. And I think the fields were really conducive in doing that, which helped me as a player. I feel like, I'm not just running to the snake, crawling as quick as I can, shoot a couple bodies, right? It's allowing me to process it a little bit better and work as a unit with the team.
I like that answer.
Yeah, so I think it was Ohio starting into there, where where I think collectively as a team, going back on it, it's like we could have been on Arsenal, in playing for first, second, and third. A lot of time on those Sundays, we would always go to overtime and lose the overtime point, and it would be stolen by like, little small things. And it's like looking back on it, it's like, oh man, we shouldn't have made those mistakes, right? And so like there's things that aha moments. Oh man, we should have switched up this play call or done that. But like, those are learning experiences as you go through to then practice on. And then remember that, right? Like you want to be sitting there in that pit and you're like, hey man, we've been here, three or four times in these games where it's going to overtime. Let's not let them go through and do this, right?
Yeah. Nice. We cruised past an hour.
Yeah, man.
I just looked up and noticed.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh crap." Um,
Yeah, no,
Thank
sorry.
you for your time. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And if you got a little bit more time, I'd like to just do a couple more things with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give me some advice for a D4 team? Let's go with a D4 team that maybe they just stepped
Okay.
up into the division. What's something that you think
Okay.
most of them need to work on, either individually or team wise?
So individually, you need to be out there snap shooting pole. A lot of people say you need someone shooting back at you. I'd argue that, you just need to get the muscle memory of shooting poles out of the bunkers, right? But if you don't have a bunker, get a trash can, right?
Yeah.
Use what you got. That kind of gives you more grit anyways, get in different positions, with your gun and, shoot as you would come out, whether it's, on the ground, like you're in the snake or in practice, all those different positions, right? Because you never know if you're going to be in, right? So you can
Yeah.
do that as an individual. You can be sitting here. I mean, I got, a gun sitting here. I try to pick it up every single day
Hmm.
and just do something, right? Like creating that muscle memory. So as a divisional player or just a player in general, right? Like
Yeah.
pick your gun up every day. Try to work on snap shooting. If you have a bag of paint will last a long time. If you can get to a field, do it. A lot of times I can't get to a field, so I'll blow up a bunker and shoot a pole, like I said, right outside of work. You just make the time, right? If you practice and make the time to do it, then it'll become a part of you. To where if you're not doing it, you're like, oh man, I feel something's off, right? Well,
Yeah.
because you've made it a point to practice that into your daily routine. So you can do that. I think, working out, that's an individual thing. You put that onus on yourself. Find what you like to do for working out. Doesn't have to be going to a gym, right? You can do, uh, you know, push ups, sit ups, whatever. You can do sprints.
Yeah.
Just find your thing that works for you to better yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody is personally responsible for their own, gun skills, your own health. So being prepared personally then makes you accountable for how your actions are going to be with the team. So do that, the snap shooting, running and gunning. That's my favorite thing to do. And it doesn't have to be blasting the trigger as you're running and gunning.
Hmm.
But I do this drill still today. Like I set up, like I'm about to run and gun and I'll run out. and then try to shoot a pole, 2 balls,
Uh-huh.
1, 2, and then do the whole drill run. And you go left and right, you can make an entire loader last 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just practice, you're not, and that's, one piece when you're doing these drills individually, it's not about, oh, I'm hitting the pole. You're understanding your mechanics of your body.
Mhm.
Like, your heart's racing, you're breathing. You want to make sure your breathing control is happening. Hey, when I'm running and gunning, and this is a time where you can work on, different things where the feeling of your body with the gun, right? So all that stuff adds up. That's all individual. Running and gunning, snap shooting, ways in and out of bunkers, trash cans, whatever you got, and then working out, right? The other piece is an individual, know your codes. So before getting to the field, right? That's the first thing I always ask for when I'm on a team is, hey, what are your codes, right? Even if they're changing, give me a base code because individually, if I understand what the codes are, Infamous uses tiger instead of kill. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So now check, got it, tiger. So learning that ahead of time for practices ensures that I'm personally responsible for the team, right? And I'm going to be a value added instead of a detriment by knowing the codes ahead of time. Yeah, we're going to have mistakes and stuff, right? But that's what practices as a team is for. Um, so then that's all personal stuff you can do. As a team, when you get to the field, then that's working on collective team breakouts. You're working on communication as a team. And drills of like you can do right side or left side, snake side, Dorito side, working on 2-on-2s, 2-on-3s, 1-on-1s. Those are great drills to do. You don't have to be going out there doing 5-on-5s all the time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, Stephen O'Mara is great for it. We'll go out there and do one-on-ones, half a day after practice. Like, and it's just, you're battling against other Titans out there. You're learning how you are against them. Now you're getting to actually shoot back at someone that's shooting at you, practicing
Mhm.
those individual skills, learning the field at the same time. And then you bring that to the team and say, hey man, when I was doing this or during the 2-on-2, 2-on-3, we were communicating. So working on those small things, working on dead zones too, shooting out of dead zones,
Okay.
back up the pipe, looking at a field layout together, um, and then being a effective communicator as a team, right? Everyone got an opinion. I think, it's really interesting when you're on all these teams and there's some more type A people than others, but it's important to listen to everybody, right? And don't overanalyze it, but like understand where people's points of view are coming from. And at the end of the day, hey, the coach has the decision. You're a player, go out there and execute, right? Incorporate the coach into it too. I don't know if a lot of D4 teams are, really having coaches, but
There's a lot more than there used to be.
okay.
A lot of them, especially like in the Georgia area, like the Georgia teams have all
What?
got a Bear Ridge guy, it seems like.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely way more common than back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that helps with organization.
Yeah.
Like, that's what about the pit? The pit crew, there's you need at least we, in the professional division, it's having a well organized pit crew because going back to the emotion, if I'm going up and my gun doesn't get filled with air or there's no paint in the loader and then I get agitated because the pit crew didn't do it, right? Like they're practicing as you would play in the event with the pit crew there too. And that pulls resources in. But
Yeah.
if you have a coach, if you have a pit crew at the team practices, setting that up as best you can, like replicating it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the military, it's the same thing, right? Like paintball, military, the training aspect of it, you're gonna shoot, move, communicate, right? That's what they say in the military. So you're practicing your shooting, you're practicing your moving, you're practicing your communication. And as a unit, individually, you have your basic tasks, which you're shooting your rifle, and then you're learning to communicate on the radio, how to talk, how to work together as a team. And then you're conducting a mission as the team, as the unit. And so you'll practice that mission before going out and doing it, right? And so
Hmm.
you want to practice it and replicate it as best you can before getting out on the field. At first contact, everything's going to change. So that's why you have different game plans.
Yeah.
But being calm, right? And then having practiced as much as you can in those scenarios for when that chaos happens, you know how to react.
Yeah. Like that. Well, one last one.
Yeah, sure.
Is there any piece of gear or superstition you do before like starting the day of play or special headband or something?
Man, so I used to wear, yeah, headband, but I have it hanging on the wall now. And that was a one I saw Ollie Lang. So yeah, if thanks ever
Okay.
gets out to Ollie, he dropped it at 2003 World Cup, and I was a kid running around, and I saw him drop it, and I picked it up, put it in my pocket, ran off. So it's hanging on my wall right now.
That's awesome.
I used to wear that one, religiously, and then you wear them so much that they start just getting like, kind of torn.
Yeah.
So then I put it on the walls. Yeah, that's a good one. But I used to have to wear that headband all the time. Man. Okay, yeah, here's one. Um, Maybe this is weird, but maybe it's not weird. The last couple of seasons, I wore the exact same socks every
Okay.
single time I play. Oh, yeah, I got onto these, actually, Alan Buffton Energy, he got me onto these defeat socks. So
Okay.
Alan used to be a collegiate runner at, like, Oregon, and so, University of Oregon, and so, he's really big into running, and he got us all when we were in Energy, these, socks called, the brand is Defeat, Defeet, and, so I've wore the same black Defeat socks for the last couple seasons.
Nice.
So, I don't know. I don't know if that's weird. I change headgear up too, just,
Hey, that's
you
very
know.
baseball of you, I feel, though. You know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah. There used to be back in the day, though, we wouldn't change our pants, right? We wouldn't even wash our pants,
Uh-huh.
like playing gear, and so which is kinda nasty, right? Because
It's a
people,
little
you know.
gross when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, I remember going a whole season and setting the pants and jersey. You only used to get 1 pant and 1 jersey back in the day, right? And setting it out to dry in the sun, and then it'd be crusty, and you pack it back in your
Uh,
bag and, continue for next weekend. But that used to be like the ag thing to do.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you weren't cool if you came smelling like lavender. You just smell like last week's sweat.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So those socks, that's probably the one thing I have to wear, but yeah, I don't really have any superstitions, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Nice. Well,
As long as I'm shooting a planet eclipse gun, that's all
there
that
you
matters
go.
right now.
Plug the sponsors one good time, and
Yeah,
we'll take it
yeah.
out.
Yeah, we got Planet Eclipse, we got ProDNA, Infamous, ProSharp, Powerhouse. We've got, Virtue, Carbon, you name it, hooking us up, got it going. ProDNA again, getting the boys all laced up with all the clothes, all the gear. So if you need any sponsorship, reach out to Infamous Paintball. They'll hook you up, head to toe, team gear, um, you name it. So yeah, it's because some of the sickest gear out there right now. So I know this is a CS3, not the new pros, but it's a pretty sick anno. Arc anodizing for all of your anno needs too. All right.
There you go. And
Awesome.
JT
Yeah.
goggles, right?
JT goggles. Yeah. JT goggles. Yep. They're pretty slick. I was wearing Virtue ones last season, but yeah, the JT ones are nice. They're really, light on the face too, so
Yeah.
not heavy.
Yeah. Now you get to play the change game with everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the change game. Gosh. Yeah, I'm a fan of just like a blacked out look, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, with
Keep it.
maybe a nice band. Yeah, yeah. Gotta get my Jared Lackey. That's one cool thing too. Like in the Carolina area, we've got Chris Shear. He's about 40 minutes south of me. I'm in Mooresville. And then we got Jared Lackey in China Grove. He's about 30 minutes north of me. And then we got Elliot Weaver. He lives up in Raleigh. So occasionally we'll all get together and drill pretty good. We'll go out to Palmetto or we'll go up to PBC up in Greensboro and drill. So if anyone's ever out there and they want to drill, happy to jump on, do drills, whatever. Like we're just students of the game and have the passion for it. So yeah.
Nice. Well, man, thank you for your time. I need you to hang out just a little bit after we stop
Yeah, sure
this
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
And everyone else, we'll see you next time on the Planet Paintball podcast.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast